Hey, Mrparka here to review a new one from Unearthed Films. This actually just came out, I think, last week maybe? I'll put the date right above. This is Atroz. And this movie had a huge kind of following that it was supposed to be pretty extreme and graphic and insane. Unearthed releases a lot of films like that. This one caught my interest because it's a 3-disc set. It looks super nice, so I was wondering, this has got to be pretty interesting, crazy movie to go through all this trouble for a 3-disc set. And the plot sounded pretty interesting. This is actually a Mexican film, which also piqued my interest because, like I said before, a lot of the foreign extreme films they don't pull any punches, man. Atroz basically is a found footage movie in a lot of ways. It kind of follows 3 different tapes that are found of this killer's life. And the main story is basically he's in prison at this point, and he's being interrogated, and the tapes kind of pop up when they find him. Now, getting into that, the first tape, it was actually a short film shot before this, and it was kind of put into the movie. That one's fairly graphic and is very, very, very reminiscent of the first August Underground. The majority difference here is that it's a transvestite who is killed, which adds kind of a different layer to it. One of the things I really enjoyed about Atroz is that the film takes place in Mexico, and it films like the dirty scenes in Mexico, the dirty places in Mexico, and it kind of reminds me of how New York was in like 80s films. It feels really dangerous, actually. The film is definitely guerrilla style, and it does have that sense of danger to it. There's no doubt about that about Atroz. But yeah, it essentially is kind of a torture kind of found footage August Underground style deal. But it also is shot really well for what it is. It's actually made very well for what it is, actually, like a torture kind of film, but there is a lot more thought into it about the killer and his background and why he's like that. You get sort of inside his head and see why he's like that. Again, the issues come up with a found footage film. Why is this being filmed? Why is that angle in there? But yeah, I guess they don't let that the found footage angle get in the way of a good shot as a camera goes on a dildo in someone's butt with barbed wire. So that's the kind of stuff you guys are going to get into if you watch this movie. Yeah, like I said, it is very graphic, and some of the stuff is pretty extreme. The special effects are really good. They do some of them in a oneer. But like I said, the first tape in here is much like August Underground, even the poop stuff. Yeah, really gross, really repulsive, and really atrocious is what it is and what the movie stands for. The second tape, it finds kind of a relationship, and you think that this killer has a human side to him. No, he has a weird fetishistic side where he's very selfish. And the final tape is his childhood, where you see why he's like this, which is probably one of the more interesting stuff. And there is a graphic castration in that. Probably one of the most graphic castrations I've ever seen. A lot of genital mutilation in this movie. I think the acting's fairly well from as far as I could tell. Sometimes you can grasp if they're good actors or bad actors when it's a foreign film. Usually, I think you can. I think the acting in here is pretty solid. Some brave performances, some really crazy stuff, like I said. They end a twist. It's kind of like a double twist. I felt one of the twists could work. I thought the other twist was kind of reaching. It came out of left field for me. It maybe tried to make the film be a bigger kind of political statement. I'm not sure if it necessarily worked for me, like I said. But the soundtrack in Atroz is actually pretty cool. Really loud and kind of scary, to be honest. A lot of unique sounds inside with the music that is kind of like pulsing. The soundtrack also kind of reminds me of the movie Mana by Michael Schneider. The Mana, that's the one I think it's called. Yeah, it's a short film. It kind of had that kind of loud pulsating soundtrack deal. So yeah, that's sorry if I'm stuffed up. I'm a little sick, I guess. But that's Atroz. The Blu-ray actually comes with a bunch of special features, a commentary where he does it in Spanish and English, and I thought that was pretty cool. It gave you a lot of insight into his inspirations and what he was going with the killer, how it was based on a lot of true stories, and how he wanted to show the messed up side of Mexico, which I thought was really cool. Also some featurettes about special effects, how the film came together, their Kickstarter, the original short video, and it comes with the DVD, and it comes with an original soundtrack. So if extreme films are your things, if you're a huge fan of like the August Underground movies or Serbian film or Human Centipede 2, these are the movies that inspired him. Cannibal Holocaust, stuff like that. More of the torture porn side element or found footage element of extreme films, then I'd say check this one out. Like I said, I don't know how much I'll be revisiting this movie, but it is definitely one of the more graphic movies I saw like this in a very long time. That is Atroz. I'm Mrparka. You guys have a good one.
control es lo que te hace sentir feliz, ¿no? Aunque dudo que un pendejo como tú sea feliz.
Yo dudo mucho que seas una víctima. Eres un pinche error de la naturaleza.
Tu placer no está en acariciar unos genitales. Está en lastimarlos, en lacerarlos.